extension N in Apache NiFi. Now we are considering extension N. There are various types of NiFi extensions which are described in other documents. The key point here is that extensions operate and execute within JVM. NiFi is at its core built for extension, and as such it is a platform on which data flow processors can execute and interact in a predictable and repeatable manner. Points of execution include processors, controller services, reporting tasks, prioritizers, and customer user. As an example, we can consider this: create your UI, build and bundle var in your processor NAR. Step 2, the var need to contain a NiFi processor configuration file in the meta-inf directory, which associate the custom UI with that processor. Place the NAR in the lib directory and it will be discovered when NiFi starts up. Step 4, in the configuration processor window for the processor, the properties tab should now have an advanced button which will access the custom UI. To add a custom UI to a processor, the content of the ni-processor-configuration as follows: Apache org.apache.nifi.processors.attributes.update attributes $$ and then project.group id nifi-update-attribute-nar and again you have to give a project.version information. Custom UIs can also be implemented for controller services. And as an example, see example 2, we can consider this one, the use of org.apache.nifi.ui.extension.ui extension in project NiFi by Apache. Here you can see the method populate remaining controller service content in the class controller service resource. Here this will populate the URIs for the specified controller service. The code, the steps are here. As an example 3, we can consider this one, this property in NiFi-registry.properties file. This NiFi.registry.extension.dir1, the full path on the file system to the location of the jars for the given. As an example 4, we can consider enum extension type. This is in the package org.apache.nifi.documentation. Now we are considering available configuration options in processor locations. The unique property identifier must appear in the property for each unique path. For example, here the NiFi na.library.directory.custom allows the admin to provide multiple arbitrary paths for NiFi to locate custom processors. A unique property identifier must append the property for each unique path. For example, here the NiFi na.library.autoload.directory is used by the autoload feature, where NiFi can automatically load new processors added to the configured path without requiring a restart, for example here. Now we are considering installing custom processors. Firstly, we will configure the directory for the custom processors. Here we describe the original processes for installing custom process that requires a restart to NiFi. Firstly, we will configure a directory for the custom processors. Ensure that this directory exists and has appropriate permission for the NiFi user and the group. Now we must place our custom processor now in the configured directory. The configured directory is related to the NiFi home directory. For example, let us say our NiFi home dir is /var./lib./NiFi. We would place our custom processor now in the y/var/lib/NiFi/ my-custom-nas/lib. Ensure that the file has appropriate permission for the NiFi user and group. Restart NiFi and the custom processor should now be available when adding a new processor to your flow. Now we are considering auto-loading custom processors. For example, here we are considering the process to use the auto-loading feature for custom processors. To use the autoloading feature, wi-fi.na.library.autoload.directory property must be configured to the point at the desired directory. By default, this points at ./extensions. For example, here, ensure this directory exists and has appropriate permission for the NiFi user and the group. Now we must place our custom processor now in the configured directory. The configured directory is related to the NiFi home directory. For example, let us say that our NiFi home directory is /var/lib/NiFi. We would place our custom processor now in /var/lib/NiFi/extensions. Ensure that the file has appropriate permissions for the NiFi user and the group. Refresh the browser page and the custom processor should now be available when adding a new processor to your flow. Now we are considering HDFS external resource provider in NA providers. This is the example configuration. This implementation is capable of downloading files from an HDFS file system. The value of the NiFi.na.library.provider's name, provider name here, implementation must be org.apache.nifi.flow.resource.hadoop.hdfs external resource provider. For backward compatibility issues, org.apache.nifi.na.hadoop.hdfs na provider is still an accepted implementation, but it is suggested to use org.apache.nifi.flow.resource.hadoop.hdfs external resource provider instead. features introduced with external resource provider might not work with this implementation. Now we are considering commands in NiFi CLI. You can see the command and args here. Registry list dash extensions. This is the full command format. Now we are considering custom processor UIs in UI extensions. To add a custom UI to a processor, step 1, create your own UI. Create your UI. Step 2, build and bundle your VAR in a processor NAR. Step 3, the VAR needs to contain an NiFi processor configuration file in the meta-inf directory which associates the custom UI with that processor. Step 4, place the NAR in the lib directory and it will be discovered when NiFi starts up. Step 5, in the configure processor window for the processor, properties tab should show now an advanced button which will access the custom UI. As an example here in the NAR layout for update attributes, with the contents of NiFi processor configuration as follows. Custom UIs can also be implemented for controller services and reporting tasks. Now we are considering content viewers. To add the content viewer, build and bundle your VAR in processor NAR. And step 2, the VAR needs to contain a NiFi-content-viewer file in the meta-inf directory. In which directory which lists the supported content types, and place the NAR in the lib directory and will be discovered when NiFi startup. And step 4, when a matching content type is encountered, the content viewer will generate the appropriate view. A good example to follow is the NAR layout for the standard content viewer. With the content of NiFi-content-viewer as follows. As an error example, we can consider this one occurred in building custom NiFi processor with controller service. Error could not generate extensions documentation. org.apache.maven.plugin.mojo execution exception failed to create extension documentation at org.apache.nifi.namojo.generate documentation at org.apache.nifi.namojo.execute. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.